and it's all about accessing music. It used to be that you would have to wait, save up your money and then go down to the record store to buy whatever music that you wanted, hoping, of course, that it was actually at the store.
Hmm.
But now, I mean, you and I can talk, and you can give me the name of a band from Pakistan, and I can probably find them within 30 seconds and be listening to them on my iPod. I mean, that's almost science fiction
It is.
that we
It is science fiction. I mean, in 1985, Back to the Future came out, and then, Marty McFly was, video conferencing with his boss, and he gets fired over a television. And now I've got the same situation here where I can see you on my screen here, and we're talking that way. It goes to show that Hollywood has premonitions about what technology and how it's going to change our lives.
I was actually looking at something last night, and it was Francis Ford Coppola when he was doing something in 1989, actually 1979.
Yeah.
He was talking about the making of Apocalypse Now, and he sort of, if you watch this interview, he sort of foreshadows and predicts the rise of YouTube. So
Really?
this has been a long time coming, but now it's here, and now it's so easy to use. I mean, even my parents can use this technology, which is saying a lot because they could never figure out how to use a VCR properly.
Well, it's brought us together tonight, which is quite a feat, and we've been using Skype very recently, and our tech guys have actually, incorporated into our systems here, which is great, and we've brought in a lot of artists from the U.S. and Canada and from around the world, which is great. But you know what? A lot of people have not been introduced to you, and I gave a very brief introduction. I wish I could give one of those Jan Gomeshi introductions for like 5 minutes that go on, but that's not the way I roll. But I'd like for you to tell our listeners out there in Karachi and Lahore and Faisalabad and Islamabad, a huge population, what are you all about? What kind of music do you listen to? And what do you play on your show? What is your show's name? What do you play for your listeners?
I do a radio program across Canada, and it also extends into the United States. It's called The Secret History of Rock. It's a 2-hour program that talks about all the music that we love and the secrets behind the artists, and the albums, and the songs, and the technology that goes into music. And I've been on the radio in this part of the world for, in November it was 30 years.
Wow.
And I've been doing the music historian, the music writer thing for about the last 20 years, really. And I've written a bunch of books. I've done a bunch of CDs. I write a newspaper column here. I have a website. It's allencross.ca, which I spend an awful lot of time working on. I do stuff on Facebook, and I do stuff on Twitter. And the whole idea, my whole thing, is to try and make music come more alive for anybody who is interested in it, because there is nothing like being able to go up to your buddy and say, hey, I know something about music that you don't. Here, let me tell you something. Because that kind of knowledge is power. And I don't mean that in any sort of malevolent way, or in a nasty way. I just mean that it's really cool to be able to talk to your friends and one-up them a little bit on music, on something that everybody loves.
It is interesting to talk about facts behind music and all the secrets, and that's what your show is all about, the secret history of rock. Question number 1, why rock and roll? Why alternative music?
Growing up in Canada, when I did, that was the dominant form of music, and it was just something that spoke to me in some way or another. So I grew up in a little small town just north of Winnipeg, which is right in the middle of the North American continent. It's actually to the north, and it is so cold at night that the temperature routinely at this time of year will drop to minus 40.
Whoa.
So you have to spend an awful lot of time indoors,
right,
because you can't go outside.
Right.
So one of my things was music, and it was the thing that when I was in school, it was the thing that I seemed to be popular at doing, like figuring out what songs to listen to,
right,
and what records to buy, and that sort of thing. And then that led me into radio. And
yeah,
my parents don't really understand, probably just like your parents don't understand, what are you doing for a living?
Right.
But it's fun. It's just an opportunity to make music come more alive for anybody who might be interested in it.
Your show is broadcast over several radio stations. It's been broadcast over several radio stations simultaneously for quite a long time now, and you get a huge reach. And now with YouTube and podcasting, you get an international reach as well, an international followership as well. My second question was, Your show is all about secrets behind music. Where do you get this information from? There are things that are unbelievable and unfathomable when it comes to the knowledge. Do you speak to artists directly? Do you find, because most of the stuff you talk about you cannot find on thedailybeast.com or something like msn.com. This is not normal stuff. This
No,
is
it's
really,
not. And
where do
I'm
you get
fortunate
it
that I've
from?
been around long enough, so I've actually seen some of this stuff happen firsthand. I was there, or I've talked to people who have been there, and I talk to artists on a regular basis. I talk to record labels and managers on a regular basis. I'm working on a film documentary, so I get a little bit of access here and there. So it's something that's developed over a very long period of time. These relationships, this networking,
Okay.
and so far so good. And it's a kind of a job that you do 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because you have to maintain these connections, these social interactions.
So not only
And
do you listen to music or find new music, you actually interact with the artists in Canada, in the U.S., in the U.K., in Australia, whenever they're around Canada, or you fly out to them. I know you've correct me if I'm wrong. You've actually been part of recording sessions with Pearl Jam, I believe.
not recording
No,
sessions, but I've met every member of Pearl Jam. I've been at the studios with the Foo Fighters, and
right.
um, I've talked to David Bowie. I've talked to Paul McCartney. I've
Wow.
talked to who else? I mean, yeah, anybody that you can mention except the Rolling Stones. That's my big hole. I've never talked to anybody in the Rolling Stones, so I gotta work on that this year here in 2012, because I think that they're going to be going on tour one last time, their 50th
No
anniversary
way.
tour. So I gotta get to somebody just so I can say that I've talked to a Stone.
Well, if you do get a chance to meet with the Rolling Stones, you've